My name is Jenna Singleton, and I'm a freshman at Clemson University. For Library 100, I had to participate in a new student dialogue. I chose to participate in a poverty action simulation because it sounded interesting to me. I heard from everyone else that their new student dialogues were really boring, and so I was dreading going to mine, but it ended up being totally different than I expected, and I actually really enjoyed it. When everyone walked in, we took on the role of a person. I had to play the role of a 19-year-old high school dropout who had a 1-year-old. I also had a live-in boyfriend. He had a job, but I didn't. For the simulation, we had 4 15-minute weeks, and during those weeks we had to buy food, clothing, and other miscellaneous things, pay our bills and loans, and my boyfriend had to go to work for 7 minutes, and then cash his check before everything closed for the weekend. In order to get to each place, we had to pay for transportation. I was lucky enough to have an EBT card, but my money did not last the whole month. I cannot even describe how stressful the whole simulation was. There was hardly enough time to get everything done in a week before all the stores closed. Going places was also really expensive. It eventually got to the point where we had to pawn off our TV and furniture, but the pawn shop wouldn't even take it. I was really frustrated because I wasn't even old enough to go pawn our things. So I had to wait for my boyfriend to go to work first and then get off, and then he had to go try to pawn our stuff, and they just wouldn't even take it. They wouldn't even take our refrigerator or our stove, which is really, really sad. So we couldn't have extra money that way, and we couldn't figure out any other way to make extra money. The only good thing that happened to us was that they came around to different people during the weeks and gave like luck cards. So some people got really bad luck and some people got good luck, and I got paid like $25 to babysit my neighbor, and that was like the only good thing that happened. So money was really, really scarce by the third week, and we couldn't even buy groceries. And my poor baby could have starved if it were real life. I was able to pay most of my payments, but my boyfriend couldn't pay most of his because he was giving all the money to me to help me pay my payments. I don't think he ever bought food, actually, and he never bought his miscellaneous items, and it was just really, really rough. So let's see. I was able to pay most of the payments, but my boyfriend couldn't even like get his check cashed in time before the bank closed because there was such a long line, and we ended up getting evicted from our trailer. It was really depressing. So I found that most of the other families kept to themselves, and no one really helped each other out except for one family. And they ended up doing really well. They actually were able to buy back their TV and their furniture that they had pawned to the pawn shop. And that was just a really good example to the rest of us. It's sad that we still had selfish mindsets even when all of us were in need. I was incredibly frustrated and stressed out the whole time because there just wasn't enough time in the week. Everything was so expensive, even though I was on EBT, and none of the stores or money collectors or anyone was helpful. And that's just like a reflection of the real world, like what if these people who are living in poverty have to work from 9 to 5, and that's when all of the other stores are open, and so they can never make it to pay their bills or to do whatever they need to do, to go to the bank or anything, because they're working and they can't afford to miss work, and so they can't do everything that they need to do. So we eventually decided that I needed to get a job too, because obviously we were evicted from our house and we definitely needed more money. So I had to go interview, and then I had to wait a week until I found out if I got the job or not. And I did get the part-time job, and I ended up making more than my boyfriend, who worked full-time, and that actually really, really made me angry. It made no sense, but it was good that we had the money, so obviously I didn't complain. And so I had to sneak my baby to work with me because I couldn't afford the transportation to get to the daycare, much less the daycare itself. The only helpful person in the whole simulation was the policewoman who invited us to stay at the jail when we got evicted from our home. I cannot even begin to imagine what living in poverty is really like. Just from the 2 hours, I came away incredibly discouraged for all of these people. My heart hurts for them, and it makes me want to help make their lives better in any way I can. Before I came to the New Student Dialogue, I always looked down on people who were living off of the government, and I thought that they were just lazy all day and didn't even try to provide for themselves. And I realized that in most cases that's not true. We tried so hard to stay afloat, and we could not do it. This whole poverty action simulation made me come away with a completely new appreciation for my life. I've been so blessed, and now I realize how hard my parents have worked to provide this luxurious life I've lived. I am able to come to Clemson and get an education, and this life I'm living is only a dream for some people, and I will not take it for granted anymore.